Life is a Marathon, session 92. Hey, thank you for being with me today. I am so appreciative. I was looking back through all of my podcasts, and it is just so hard to believe that I started this show back in September of 2014, and I've already done 92 episodes. I've got to figure out what to do for episode 100. So if you've got some ideas about what I should do for episode 100, the century mark, I would love to hear it. You can use the contact form at brucevanhorn.com or lifeisamarathon.com, or send me some tweets or Facebook messages. You guys are awesome about reaching out to me, so you'll figure out a way. But if you've got something in mind that you'd really like to hear me talk about, or just something fun to do for episode 100, I would love to hear your ideas. I want to share an idea with you that I've shared with you before, but it's something that I want to just keep putting in your brain. I want it to go into your subconscious mind and just let it sit there and percolate and grow. I love the fact that you are listening to my show, but I want you to know that you don't need to listen to my show or to read any books or engage in any program or buy something. You don't need anything external to you to become the awesome person that you truly believe that you are capable of being. I want you to know that it is already inside you. We are all born, and from the moment we were conceived in the womb, we were endowed with seeds of greatness. We were uniquely made to be an amazing person on this planet, completely unique from anyone else on the planet. And so if there's this thing that you know that you're capable of doing, but you're not doing it, so many times we get caught up in living the life that we think other people want us to live. And partly because maybe they told us that. Maybe there was something that we wanted to be when we were growing up, and our parents or our teachers said, well, that you could do that, but you're not going to make any money at it, or at least at this point in your life, it doesn't look like you have the necessary skills or whatever to be that. Okay, that doesn't mean you can't be that, and it doesn't mean that you aren't supposed to be that. You may need to acquire certain skills to get better at it, to let it unfold, for you to grow. And like a great mighty redwood tree starts off as a little seed, but the seed is the seed of a redwood tree, and it can never be anything other than a redwood tree. So I just want to share that with you before I get too far into this today, because I meet people who are in search of, the right program or the right book or the right pill or the right yoga class or whatever, so that they can learn how to be something, but you already are. So that's the beauty of it. So anyway, I love you, and that's the intention with which I share this with you. And it's the intention in which I am standing here in front of this microphone talking to you today. And the subject of today's lesson is this. I want to talk for a few minutes about the word premeditation. And I want you to fully engage in premeditated living. Okay? We know the word premeditation. So let's have a little English class. So this is Bruce the English major. This is Bruce the teacher, getting an opportunity to talk about words and word origins. And I love doing this. Okay, so the word premeditated or premeditation has two parts. Okay, it is the prefix pre, okay, which I'll get to. But the core is the word meditation. And so let's talk about this idea of meditation. And so many people have this misconception of what meditation is. They think it's sitting off in a dark room or out in a field or up on a mountaintop, all by yourself, and getting your mind to the point where it is completely empty. That is not what meditation means. It's not. What the word meditation means simply is thinking. To meditate means to think. Okay, so you can hear the phrase sometimes, somebody will say something and another person will respond, well, let me meditate about that. And what it means is let me think about that. And so meditation it's not stopping ourselves from thinking. It is actively, intentionally thinking. Now what it is actively and intentionally focusing our thoughts on a single thing. So when I say, let me meditate about that, it means I am going to try to still the voices in my head and the lots and lots of thoughts. And I'm going to think about a single thing. And so sometimes when I am practicing meditation, I'm simply thinking about my breathing, or I'm thinking about a feeling in my body, or just a single thought. So the word meditation means contemplation, thought, thinking, pondering, concentration. And so it's not emptying the mind, it's actually concentrating the mind. It's focusing the mind on a particular thought, not emptying, okay? Now, let's do the pre part of it, okay? So it means to think about, to concentrate, to plan something before it happens, okay? So we often hear of people who are on trial for a crime. It's often something like murder, and that's where we hear this phrase. So are they committed? Is a person being convicted of murder, for which there are certain series of consequences, or are they being convicted of what's called premeditated murder, for which the consequences are much more severe? It means they didn't just accidentally do it. It means they thought it through. They planned it in advance. So it wasn't a spur of the moment, spontaneous thing, which can happen to us when we get, caught up in a situation and we lose control of our thoughts and our emotions, and we do something reactively. And so premeditation is just this. It is thinking about something in advance. In other words, it's the phrase that I use in all of my social media platforms. So if you read my bio on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram or LinkedIn, I use the phrase living intentionally. And I've done an entire show on this before. It was 70 episodes ago. Life is a Marathon episode 22 was titled Living Intentionally. And I would have to say that over the last 8 years of my life, that has been the biggest change in my life. My life changes have all been about thought, but they've all been about using thought intentionally to move myself in the direction of the life that I want. To live the life of my dreams requires that I dream the dream of my life. And so I have to have intention, I have to have plan, I have to have all of these thoughts in order to create the life that I want. And so I was just most of my life was living reactively. It was responsive. Life was happening to me. The bumper sticker, life happens. Well, life does happen, but guess what? You can happen to life instead of letting life just happen to you. You can be proactive. You can be premeditative about how your life goes. And so I don't want to belabor the issue too terribly long, but I want you to think intentionally. I want you to live premeditatively, which means to think about things before you actually go out and do them. For example, last week, on Thursday, April 9th, I was, well, many weeks beforehand, but I was asked to come and give a presentation to a technical user group. And it was so much fun. I love doing that. Well, I love speaking in front of big audiences, small audience, and frankly, yes, I love getting paid to be a professional speaker. But I also love doing local community events as well. And so this was the annual combined meeting of the Richmond .NET users group and the Richmond SQL servers users group. The two groups combine once a year, and they bring in an outside speaker, and there's food, and they raffle off lots of prizes. And so the coordinator of the event had reached out to me well over a month ago and asked me if I would come and speak to the group about professional development. And of course I said yes. I checked my calendar. I wasn't going to be somewhere else then. And so I said yes. Now, here's what I did. Well in advance of the meeting, I thought about the subject that they asked me to come speak about, which was professional development. And so I gave concentrated thought on that subject. And, so I premeditated it. And so I created my slide presentation. I pulled from other presentations that I've done on similar topics or on that topic specifically, and I formulated my presentation. I practiced my presentation. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew the way I wanted to say it. And so I rehearsed it in advance. So that I premeditated my presentation, which I absolutely loved. And then I did something, what I always do anytime before I speak. I had about a half an hour drive to get to the place. And so if I'm traveling somewhere to speak, which I often am, so if I'm on an airplane or on a train or somewhere on my way to the event, so I'm talking about like the minutes or the hour before I speak, I premeditate, I create an intention in my heart about the way I want the presentation to go, the energy that I want to bring to the room, the energy that I want to have radiating from me into the audience. You see, intention and premeditation allows you to be ahead of the group, so let's use the life as a marathon metaphor, this race. Once you start moving, you've got momentum and you're going in a certain direction. And so I want to always have momentum for my life, but I want to always have momentum going into a situation. And so when the meeting started and the hosts of the meeting introduced me, I was already ahead of the audience. I already was on my way. So I had momentum where everyone was sitting, waiting for me. In my brain, it was already going the way I wanted the meeting to go. So it was all about that. And one of the things that I always do when I'm giving a presentation is, somewhere early into the presentation, I will tell them about my drive to the presentation and the things that I think about. And so I told them what my intention was. And so I told them that my intention in being here today, well, everyone in the room came to hear me speak with a preconceived idea about what I was going to talk about. They had preconceived ideas of what they thought they were going to get out of it. Some of them had preconceived ideas about whether or not they would even enjoy it. And so there were some people who were there and they were super excited to be there. Most of them didn't know me. A few did, but so some of them were there. They were skeptical about what I might bring because maybe they thought they knew everything that there was to know about personal development or professional development, and so we go into those things. But I told them, I said, I have an intention for tonight's meeting, and it is simply this: I am here tonight to give you a gift. The words that I'm going to speak, the illustrations that I'm going to use, the stories that I'm going to tell you, the slides that I have prepared with the bullet points, I am giving all of those things to you as a gift. And I said, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love gift giving. And a lot of people nodded their heads saying, yeah, we do too. And so I said, so I am giving you this gift. Now, the beauty about the gift that I give you is there are no strings attached to this gift. You may do with this gift whatever you want, okay? You may receive it with gratitude and with an open mind and an open heart. Or you may reject it. You don't have to take a gift. Just because I hand you something doesn't mean you have to take it, right? So I said, but for me, I love gift giving. So I am already having a ball up here talking to you. And so it's reflected in my smile. It's reflected in my voice. It's reflected in my body language, my mannerisms, that I am already enjoying this. And so because I already had momentum and I was already radiating out the type of energy that I intended, that I premeditated, it allowed my audience to absorb that and to bring that into their minds, into their bodies, and they could take the energy that I was giving off and use that energy for them to receive the gift in a positive way. And what was so cool about it, I spoke for almost an hour, and I had 4 or 5, maybe even more than that, but there were a whole bunch of people who came up to me, and a lot of them had questions about what I spoke about or wanted to make additional comments, but at least 4 or 5 of them said, Bruce, I wanted, and they didn't talk to each other, and so that was the beauty of it. So one person would come up completely independent of another person, and they all basically said the same thing. Bruce, your intention worked. I received it as a gift. Thank you for the gift that you gave me tonight. And so somebody else would come up and said, your intention was right on. It was well received. And so thank you for the gift. One gentleman came up to me and said, and so it was a beautiful thing because I had already, I had sent that out. That was the energy that I put out into the universe. So that's really what it is. So I want you to going into anything, and this is the trick, So again, you can do this in any setting. All right, be intentional, premeditate the event. So whether for me, whether it's a big speaking engagement, that's obvious. But I'm on a lot of Skype calls and a lot of phone calls that are coaching calls. And so I will take 5 minutes before I'm about to get on a call with a client of mine, and I will premeditate. I will formulate an intention of what I want to accomplish during that call. I'll look through the notes of the last call if we've had previous calls, and I will generate within me the energy that I want to have in the call. I will see the person that I'm talking to, I will see their face in my mind before we even activate the Skype call, and I will see them smiling. I will see them nodding to the things that we're talking about. And so I go into every meeting with an intention, with a desired outcome. I start every call knowing in advance how I want the call to end, with the kind of ways that I want them to respond to me. And so you can do this with anything. You can do this with a business meeting. You can do this with a phone call. You can do this with family members. So if you've got to get on the phone with your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, or your parents, or your children, I do this all the time with my boys. If I've got to sit down and have a conversation with them about something, whether it's about school or, there's so many facets to parenting, and there's so many meetings. We need to have a family meeting, and they're not all difficult. They're not all dealing with problems. Sometimes I need to tell the boys about an exciting thing that's going on in my life, or I want to hear from them. So before I say, boys, I need you to come down, I'll take 30 seconds. That's all it takes. It doesn't take an hour. It doesn't take 30 minutes or even 5 minutes to premeditate the desired outcome from the meeting. It can happen in a split second. And it can even happen after the event has already started. So it can be going out for drinks or for lunch or for dinner with friends. For me, if I'm running, I'm running the Boston Marathon next week. So today is Sunday. What is today? Let me look at my calendar. I've lost track of what today is. So today is April 12th. Okay, Sunday, April 12th. So tomorrow will be April 13th. And so 1 week from tomorrow, many of you won't be listening to this until Monday the 13th. So next week, I'm going to be running the Boston Marathon. I have already premeditated how I intend to run the race. I have already premeditated how I want to feel when I cross the finish lines. I know exactly what my body is going to do because I've been practicing it. I've been visualizing it. I am going to be stretching out my arms as I stride across the finish line, feeling strong and healthy and victorious for having completed the Boston Marathon, a bucket list race for me. So I've thought about that in advance. Okay, so doing this, you set your energy, you set the desired outcome in your mind about how you want the situation to go. If for nothing else, how do you want to feel? You can't control other people, okay? I could not have controlled the over 100 people in the room who were listening to me speak last week. I have no control over them, but I have 100% absolute control over me. And so as I'm out scanning the faces in the audience, making eye contact with as many people as I can, if when I'm making eye contact with somebody, I'm sensing a negative energy coming back from them, like they're just not getting it, or they maybe are disagreeing with the point that I'm making, I don't let their energy change mine, because I've already decided the kind of energy that I'm going to have. So I'm stronger. I'm not blown about by the whims of other people, the attitude or the negativity of other people. So I want my positivity to influence them. But if it doesn't, I don't let that negatively influence me. Okay, so premeditating things, living intentionally, allows you to set your energy. It allows you to set momentum before the event even happens. So it's already going in the direction that I want it to. And what it allows me to do is, if I sense that it's not going the way that I want it to, I can take intentional steps. Maybe I can change a couple things that I'm saying. I can change my body language maybe a little bit, or I can ask different questions to try to move it in the direction. I can simply say, so how's this going? Is this going the way that you wanted it to? I'm sensing a little resistance from you. And then we can work towards moving it in the right direction. But I can't do that if I didn't have a desired outcome prior to that, okay? So even things like when you're out with friends, all right? This is so common. How many times have you been out with friends and, you're in a restaurant or you're at somebody's house and everybody's talking, and all of a sudden that you notice the group discussion has turned negative. It has maybe turned to gossip, or it has, while you're supposed to be out just having fun, it's become a conversation all about work. Okay? Well, if that was your intention, then maybe that's fine. But for me, if my intention was to just relax and to have fun and to talk about, our families, talk about things external to work, I certainly didn't, it would very rarely have been my intention to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we all go out for dinner and let's gossip about somebody? That's not going to ever be my intention. It's probably not going to ever be yours, but very often it turns out to be that. And so if you had an intention in going into that social situation and you realize that it's going in a direction other than how you want it to go, guess what you get to do? And guess what you should do? You should interject. You should say, hey guys, you know what? This isn't what I want to do tonight. I'm pretty sure it isn't what you guys wanted to do tonight. Let's change the subject. And have a suggestion. Well, what should we talk about? No, let's talk about, hey, did you see so and so on TV last night? That wouldn't be me because I don't watch TV. But this movie that I saw, or a video clip. I saw this funny thing on YouTube. Have you seen that? Steer the conversation in a more positive, more relaxing, uplifting direction. You can do that. You should do that. And it's easier to do that if you had an intention, a premeditation of how you wanted the evening to go. Okay? And the other thing that you get to do is if you had a premeditated outcome for any event, and it's not going the way that you want to, especially a social situation. If you can't, again, you can't control other people. You can try to influence them to change the conversation from gossip back to uplifting, lighthearted, just relaxing conversation. But if it's not going to happen, guess what you get to do? And I've done this on numerous occasions. I've said, you know what, guys? I've got to go. This, and I'll sometimes even say, I said, this isn't the evening that I wanted to participate in. I love you. Maybe next time when we get together, we can keep the conversation lighthearted. But you guys obviously seem to want to engage in this conversation. I'm just not going to participate in it. So I'm going home. And no hard feelings. I just don't want to. I don't want to get myself drawn into the negativity. Okay. You can do that. I think you should do that. So to protect yourself, if nothing else, why do you want to get caught up in the toxicity of gossip or a negative conversation? You just don't have to do that. And so, so I can go home, or I can go out and do something else by myself, or I can, pick up the phone and call another friend and say, hey, I'm out somewhere. If you're not doing anything, why don't we meet and, we'll have a drink or something, or we'll go see a movie or just go for a walk or whatever it is. But by having a desired outcome, it allows you to always be in control of the situation. And while you can't control other people, you can always control you. And it's easier to do when you've thought about it in advance. Now, please don't get me wrong. I am not talking about becoming a person who, when your friends call and say, hey, Bruce, we're out at so-and-so, we're all eating dinner, if you're not doing anything, come join us. I'm not about saying, well, let me think about that. And, let me call you back while I premeditate my, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I want you to be spontaneous. I want you to do things, that are fun impulsively. So that's okay. But again, it's going to take you 5 minutes to get wherever it is. There's going to be at least some period of time where in a split second you said, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's go do that. And so while you're on your way, you can set your intention. You can do the premeditative thinking about how you want that event to go. Or even if the event has already started and you had not decided. So maybe you're sitting in a meeting. Maybe you're listening to me talk right now, and you started listening to me without an intended outcome, without tuning your ears for things that you want to hear me say. You can take 5 seconds, it doesn't take a long time, and set the intention. You get to do that. You do, okay? So be spontaneous. Have a fun, creative, free life. So don't get yourself so locked in that you have to pre-think everything in advance. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? But once you're there, create an intention. So in essence, this is what I'm saying, okay? Most of my adult life, I just let life happen to me. I didn't have really strong intentions. I didn't have a lot of premeditated ideas about how I wanted my life to go. I had vague dreams and wishes, and I had wants in the fact that, I wanted to have a wonderful life. I wanted to have plenty of money. I wanted to have a great, fulfilling career. But I had not set any specific intentions about what exactly that would look like. What steps would I take in order to assure that those things happen? So even when I roll out of bed in the morning, if my intention first thing in the morning is to have a great day, then now I know what steps to take, what attitude to bring to a situation, what kind of energy I need to create inside of me so that it radiates out and it guides my steps. So what I'm saying to you is happen to your life instead of life happening to you. And you can do that by premeditative living, okay? Don't kill your life by not thinking about your life. Happen to your life. Live intentionally. Premeditate your life. That's what I want for you. And do you know why I want it for you? That's right. I want it for you because I love you. And I want you to love you just as much. I want you to love you 10,000 times more than I love you. Because when you love you, that will show up. And I'm not talking about in an egotistical, egoic way. I want you to truly love and appreciate the unique, awesome, beautiful creation that you are, and understand that you were uniquely gifted and created to make an amazing contribution to the world. Maybe not the entire world, but the world in which you live. Your sphere of influence, okay? The people who you engage with on a day-to-day basis, whether it's your family, your friends, your coworkers, okay? You can make a huge contribution. In fact, you already are making a huge contribution, but is it the contribution that you want to make? Is it the contribution that you are making intentionally? So that's the message. Thank you for going the distance with me. I would love to hear your thoughts about this. So you can reach out to me at, on Twitter, I'm at BruceVH. On Facebook, I'm /BruceVH. And, you can always reach out to me through the lifeisamarathon.com website or the Bruce Van Horn contact page. Anyway, I love you. Life is a marathon. So let's train for it.